Hello everyone and welcome back to episode 263 of your favourite Formula 1 show. Yes, Jamie and I return this week out to discuss and review the US Grand Prix. And it's safe to say, Jamie, if you had a little bit of hopium before now, that has been ramped up to 11, hasn't it, sir? Max Verstappen wins again.
Yes, spoilers. We usually wait a bit to tell who the winner was, but if this is your source of Formula 1, then that's a bit confusing.
If this is your only source, yeah, Formula 1.
Exactly. So I said I don't remember if I said it on the show last week or off air, but I kind of had in my head if the gap is around 50 points between Max and the championship leader, I would start believing after COTA, and it's down to 40, which is from 63 at the start of the weekend is absolutely ridiculous. So
over 100 after Hungary, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was 104 going into Monza.
Crazy.
And it's now 40.
Absolutely crazy. Now it's 40.
This is going to be like the comeback of all comebacks.
If it happens.
Yes, if it happens. But I'm very excited for the remainder of the season.
I'm sure you are. I mean, it is nice that we kind of get a little bit of hype, isn't it? Heading into these final few Grand Prix, whether it's for better or for worse, depending on who you ask. But obviously, yeah, the US Grand Prix, obviously, as we kind of mentioned last week, starts this kind of huge slog towards the end of the season, doesn't it? 6 races, 8 weeks, 3 sprints as well thrown in, a Saturday night race in Vegas, a lot of travel for the drivers and teams. And obviously, you come off the back of Singapore a couple of weeks ago, where George Russell took the victory. Mercedes didn't look to be as competitive, did they, this weekend? It kind of looked like, as we got through practice and into qualifying, it always looks like in practice that Ferrari are going to be there in the fight, and then normally aren't. So I think we were kind of all expecting it to be between Max and the McLarens, didn't we?
Yeah, and it feels like that'll be the kind of standard race order for the rest of the season, really, apart from at specialist races where you just guarantee that George Russell's going to show up at Vegas because Mercedes love a cold street track.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Although they at Singapore, which isn't cold at all.
No, I mean, bizarre, isn't it? Because I think none of us kind of expected Mercedes, because everything about Singapore should have not worked for them. But it actually seems like that car is very good at just those quick changes of direction. Heading out straight into sprint qualifying, though, obviously only a 12-minute SQ1 session, isn't it? And that made things a little bit messy right towards the end of the runs. Yuki Tsunoda couldn't get a second run in after he got held up
about
behind
7 drivers.
Yeah, there were quite a few right at the end there, but Yuki was kind of the big one, wasn't he? That probably should have made it through, but didn't. Bortoletto never managed to get a qualifying lap in. I still could not work out for the life of me over the course of the entire weekend why turn 19, the penultimate corner, they had extended the track limits. Because surely if it's the same track limits for everybody, it's completely irrelevant where the white line is.
It is, but you want to let the drivers, I don't know, it depends where you want to draw the line, doesn't it? Literally where you want to draw the line. So
yeah,
it doesn't matter where you draw the white line. You think about Austria's second last 2 corners. They just draw a really thick white line so the drivers can carry a lot of speed and push it right to the limit. I agree with you. It felt maybe a couple of inches too wide, the white line on the exit, the second last corner. But in the past it has been a little bit ridiculous where almost every lap people are going over the limits.
Oh yeah, I understand that as well, but it's kind of there through sprint qualifying. I don't think I'd heard beforehand that they had extended track limits there. I was like, isn't everybody getting their lap times removed? And then suddenly they weren't, because it was the blue line, not the white line.
Yeah, the white line counts at the racetracks as long as you keep it on the white line, like in tennis. It's in, basically.
Formula 1 isn't tennis, though.
Well, you got to be over the line, haven't you? Every sport plays like that, actually. So.
Yeah, I guess. No, am I right in saying badminton is just got to be inside the line? I could be wrong on that one, but I feel like there is a racket sport where it has got to be inside of the line, not on the line, if I remember correctly.
I'm not sure. I don't watch badminton in my spare time, I'm afraid.
No, fair enough. So yeah, obviously Tsunoda will be out in Q1. He'd be drawn by Ollie Behrman. Bit of a shame, obviously, for him and Haas, home Grand Prix, all that. Ocon, again, obviously both Haas cars out. Colapinto also out, and then obviously, the aforementioned Gabriel Bortoleto with no time on the board. And as we end of Sprint Q2, Jamie, I mean, for us it was about 11 o'clock at night, wasn't it, by the time Sprint Q2 was getting on with it. I was ready to go to bed right then and there because I thought both Ferraris were going to be going out in Sprint Q2.
Would have been very amusing.
Well, neither of them looked particularly good throughout Sprint Q1. Sprint Q2 seemed to get even worse, and then I think by the end of Sector 2, they were both down on their previous bests.
Yeah. And by the time they were coming across the line, they were 10th and 11th. So you're thinking, well, one of them could be out here, if not both. But then actually they did both improve and squeeze through and actually left Kimi Antonelli instead as the one who didn't make it through, who probably should have done.
Yeah, 6,000ths of a second, wasn't it? The gap between Hamilton and Antonelli. But would be the Mercedes on the wrong side of those mere thousandths. Isaac Hadjar, Pierre Gasly, Lance Stroll, and then Liam Lawson all out. Again, Liam Lawson this time round not able to get a time in because he ran a bit wide through the final, through turn 19, the penultimate corner. And by the time we got to SQ3 though, Jamie, I know on the commentary they were talking about this. Does Sprint Q3 need to be changed slightly? Because obviously you just basically sit around for 5 minutes, don't you? Because there's not enough time, and obviously not enough tyres, to go for 2 runs. So you basically start an 8-minute session, and then nobody goes out until there's about 3.5 minutes left on it, because you can only do 1 run.
I guess what they want to avoid, as in you could make the session 3 minutes if you really wanted to, or 5 minutes, say, and then everyone would get 1 lap, effectively. I guess what you want to avoid is if the first car crashes and causes a red flag, then there'd not be enough time to actually do any laps. But I think they could. I know F1 is so particular about its session times, but I feel like with very special circumstances, should that happen in a sprint qualifying, you just got to be like, well, we'll just add a few minutes on it, which I don't think they would do, because if you look at what happened in Baku's Q3.
Oh yeah,
where that situation
we would have ended up with an hour in Q3 with just 2 minutes being added on over and over.
Well, we almost got that situation where there were so many red flags no one could get a lap in. So I don't know. I do agree with you. I would prefer if it was pure one shot, but it's hard to kind of manufacture that with the times. So
well, they basically have manufactured that with the times, isn't it? That it is just a one shot session.
Yeah, but we just have to wait 5 minutes first.
I think I like Crofty's idea. That you run like a 5-minute session, and then the top 5 basically go at the top. Obviously, 6th through 10th gets set, and then the top 5 get another 5-minute session, but they have to go back out on the same tyres again. That would be quite cool.
That actually is a good. Crofty doesn't have good ideas very often.
No, or almost like doing a hyperpole run or something like that.
Yeah, and their tyres would be shot, and they're just sliding around the track.
Well, it's how much you take out of the tyres on the first run to make sure that you get through into the second run. Obviously, because you're on the same set again, would be quite interesting. But I would have thought nobody can really leave much time on the table. But yeah, Max Verstappen though looked to be. He just looked like he had a little bit extra, didn't he, over the McLarens? And let's be fair again, you would expect. Max is still kind of in that lucky position, isn't he? Not that he doesn't drive like this anyway, but he's kind of in that lucky position where he has to put it all on the line. At the moment, because he's got basically nothing to lose at this stage of the championship and everything to gain. And you could tell that Lando and Oscar.
You could tell in the GP when Norris was racing Leclerc, there was such a difference in approach between those two drivers.
Yeah, but it would be Max taking sprint pole, obviously ahead of Lando. Oscar in P3, Hulkenberg. Shout outs there up in P4. Brilliant effort. Ahead of Russell, Alonso, Sainz, Hamilton, Albon, and Leclerc. I mean, that's Hulk's first top 10 qualifying appearance of the year, because it doesn't obviously technically count as a Q3 appearance, because obviously it's not real qualifying.
He just stuck it 4th on a grid. I've no idea how still. I think just the one
just a well-hooked up lap.
Yeah, and it was second in practice, so I guess they just nailed the setup immediately before anyone else caught up. So
did very, very well.
He's always gone well at COTA.
Exactly, he does always do well at COTA, and I think we were all expecting as we went into that sprint race that he was, going to be able to pick up some huge points for Sauber, and then turn 1 happened. Talk us through it.
Yes. Well, Max Verstappen got away well. Wasn't really under any threat from Norris or Piastri behind him. Then the McLarens fight themselves very hard. Piastri tries to line up a switchback on Norris after Norris got a bad start. They're both very far wide compared to the apex of turn 1. Piastri tried to line up a switchback on Lando Norris to get a good exit down towards turn 2. Meanwhile, Fernando Alonso from, 6th on the grid, and Hulkenberg are still hanging around by the apex. And in my opinion, I think it was probably a racing incident. I know I'm going to get bias shouted at me because Hulkenberg was the first one to make contact with anyone, but he didn't really have anywhere to go, and Piastri switched back into Hulkenberg's front right tyre. So, yeah, it worked out really well for Max Verstappen because Hulkenberg's got Piastri in the air, Piastri then hits Norris spinning hits Alonso, wasn't it? Or was it Hulkenberg spinning hitting Alonso?
Hit Alonso.
Regardless,
I believe
4 key grid slots were all out of the race. Effectively, Hulkenberg kept going, but they're all no longer in the fight. George Russell is up into 2nd. Carlos Sainz is 3rd. And yeah, I thought at the time it was a Hulkenberg error. Based on his onboard, it kind of looked like it was. But if you look on the overhead shot, Piastri did cut back quite sharply, which was quite a high-risk strategy at turn 1 when you know you've got the mid-pack right there.
I must admit, I think I'm the same as you. It was a racing incident. I think it's one of those ones, isn't it, where you could say, well, each of those 4 drivers could have done something differently to avoid the accident. Because obviously,
I don't think Norris could have, personally.
Well, Norris could have broke earlier, is what he could have done. Norris went so deep into turn 1 because obviously he got the worst start than Oscar and knew he had to be ahead of him into that first corner that he just tried to brake as late as possible. That obviously then opened the door for Oscar to get the switch back on, because obviously if all the other cars weren't there, Oscar was getting the run off of him at a turn 1. Hulkenberg obviously, down the inside, there's probably an element of trying to, Cota's one of those weird ones where being right at the apex on the inside often actually means you avoid the danger. But then obviously
Alonso
was trying.
Down his
inside. Well, Alonso was trying to get down the inside of Hulkenberg, wasn't he? Which kind of caused all of this melee as well. I mean, the biggest winner in all of this was Yuki Tsunoda. Where he qualified so far back, he was able to get to the inside of all the chaos and gained 11 places by the exit of turn 1, which is pretty impressive. He gained 11 spots and Hulkenberg's front wing, rather impressively.
And then managed to hold a Sector 1 with a front wing sticking out of his side pod, which I thought was quite impressive.
Going. Yeah, finally got rid of that down the S's, and then to make matters even worse for Hulkenberg, he then ran over his own front wing.
Yeah.
Nico Hulkenberg's front wing made it to Sector 2 about 10 seconds before Hulk did.
Yeah.
Which is quite impressive.
If they put the timing chip in his front wing, he might have finished where Tsunoda did.
Yeah.
At the end of the race.
Yeah, exactly. It probably explains why they don't do that.
Yeah. I was thinking, that surely hasn't ever happened before, where a driver has run over their own front wing in the same lap as losing it.
Yeah, it has, definitely.
But the front wing went ahead of him. It was crazy.
Yeah, I know. There'll be some instances of that, though, happening. You think there's got to be three?
I reckon there has been where
the most uncommon occurrence in the world.
It will happen where you lose a bit of front wing, complete a lap, and run over it. But has it ever happened where the front wing just makes it halfway around a lap before you do?
Ahead of you, yeah. Quite impressive.
And then you run into it on the same lap.
Yeah, it is quite an interesting one. But yeah, that would obviously immediately bring out the safety car, loads of debris down. I was honestly, I think, just happy it wasn't because this was obviously Saturday evening, wasn't it? So I wouldn't have minded a red flag. But finally we get going again on lap 6. And George Russell, I think, kind of, again, of the mindset of, we know him and Max aren't really friends, so I think if George Russell could do anything to kind of try and upset Max's rhythm, he's going to try and go for it. And holy mother of all sins on lap 8, that was incredible to watch.
It was a great attempt from George Russell down the inside of turn 11, wasn't it? Thankfully, Max saw it coming because, if he wasn't...
He saw it coming because George was actually ahead at the apex, wasn't he? Just about.
Possibly. But he did get to the apex first. He got to the apex all locked up and was never making the corner. So...
If he hadn't locked up, I genuinely think he was going to. But of course, that's completely irrelevant because he did lock up.
Exactly. That's the risk he run by going super aggressive on the dirty side of the track down into that corner. So, yeah, it was a very good effort from George Russell. Max saw it coming, just left him a bit of space. Obviously, Russell goes off himself without any... if Russell stays on the track there, he's got the lead. So, Max did the right thing to kind of just go off the track and keep the position, I think, because they were both off. It was remarkably similar to last year when I don't think the rules were applied very well, personally. But
no, they weren't.
thankfully there was no steward involvement this time round because, yeah, I don't know what they would have done there, to be honest, because had they given, like, can you imagine they give Max a leaving the track and getting an advantage penalty for that?
Yeah, would have been quite funny.
Well, I guess if Russell stayed on the track and Max did
if Russell stayed on the track, that's his spot. That's
exactly.
Just how stupid the rules work, isn't it, at the moment?
Yeah.
My favourite bit about this whole ordeal was then Max going, oh, you know, he dive bombed me out of nowhere. Not like that's exactly what Max does every single time.
I don't think he was whinging. He was more just.
Oh no, he
his
did.
team.
The one radio message. He was like, he just dived me out of nowhere. What's he doing? You know, like he's doing what you do.
It was a very Max-esque move.
Exactly.
Apart from he didn't pull it off. So
Max doesn't always pull him off either, to be fair. But yeah, I mean, let's be fair. George knew the Mercedes wasn't as quick as the Red Bull. That was his one chance, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And then immediately after that, kind of dropped away. It was never really a threat again. We did have a great battle between the two Ferraris, didn't we? Charles Leclerc made a bit of a mistake through the S's. Lewis Hamilton, this has often been a pretty good track for him. Was able to pick up the pieces a little bit later on in the lap after some pretty tight battling between the two Ferraris.
Yes, an extremely aggressive defence from Charles Leclerc down the back straight. I was a bit surprised that they're fighting each other so hard when they're kind of in a battle for second in the constructors, and they're also obviously nothing like battling any relevant positions in the Drivers' Championship. So,
hey, Leclerc's prior to this weekend, spoiler alert, Leclerc still had a mathematical shot at the World Championship.
He did. Did you see he replied to Formula One on Instagram saying,
did, yes.
Let's go, boys," or whatever it was. It did seem a bit much from Charles Leclerc to defend that hard in a sprint race for P4 or whatever it was. But whatever, they didn't crash, so no harm, no foul.
Hamilton made the move anyway. And then, I mean, things kind of died down, didn't they, after that? You had a bit of a battle between Kimi Antonelli and Ollie Behrman, obviously through that brilliant switchback section of like 13, 14, 15. Behrman would kind of get shoveled out wide, keep the place, and again, because of just the way the F1 rules work, if you're side by side with the car, you get pushed off and they're trying to make the place. You either give it up or you get a 10-second penalty. Which, Behrman got completely screwed overboard because obviously it wouldn't be a Formula 1 weekend without Lance Stroll doing something hilarious and trying to channel his inner Daniel Ricciardo. Just flat out took out Esteban Ocon on lap 16.
It was very ridiculously funny to watch, to be honest. Especially, they're fighting for
Lance Stroll.
They're fighting for 16th or something like that.
It was so irrelevant, yeah.
And all locked up. You could tell he was basically apologising before he hit him.
He apologised as the crash was still happening, which was quite impressive.
It must have been a good 40 metres back into the braking zone.
I don't think it was quite that far, but it was ridiculous, yeah. And you just know full well he was just in his own head as soon as he went for it. Go, oh my god! I've just remembered I'm Lance Stroll. I can't do this. Locks up, panics, takes Ocon out. Luckily, it was for no points or anything. And picks
luckily, there was no restart
penalty. Yeah, Formula 1 can end races behind safety cars. We've got to mention this every time. It is possible. Only when Max Verstappen's leading, of course. But yeah, that would obviously... I mean, as soon as this crash happened and the safety car came out, I had to go see my parents, so I immediately just left.
I left as well. I banked on the fact it wouldn't restart. So
no, exactly. So Max at the win, ahead of George. Carlos in P3, so exactly the same top three as Baku. Lewis obviously ahead of Leclerc, Albon, Tsunoda and Antonelli, of course, because of Behrman's 10-second penalty. After what would have been a really good drive by Ollie Behrman as well. But yes, Tsunoda, 11 places gained in that sprint race. Absolute sequence.
It's got to be a record for a sprint, probably. Well, Hamilton did that, actually, didn't he, in Brazil?
I was going to say, it's happened. They've gained close to that a few times, haven't they?
Hamilton got 15, didn't he, when he went last to fifth?
Yeah, so brilliant drive. Drive.
Just a shame about the engine was illegal, but there we go.
It wasn't illegal? How was the engine illegal? It was just very, very up-tuned.
Too fast. Ban it.
Was it? Okay.
GP qualifying on Saturday evening.
Night.
I missed it all because I was watching McFly. So that was great.
How was McFly?
Oh, lovely. If you can't tell, I'm a little bit croaky because I was shouting too loud at the show. So that was fun. It was a great show. Yeah, would recommend. Yeah, so quali happened. I didn't even realise Isaac Hadjar crashed until I watched the highlights the next morning.
Yeah.
But he did. Pretty bad one as well. Immediately on his first run in Q1, which is not that clever at all.
Well, he did hit a bump. He was very much kind of, he was fine, it was instantaneous, it's gone.
That bump's there for everyone, so...
Yeah,
You know,
yeah, no, it's
it
fair
didn't
point.
appear for Isaac Hadjar. So last on the grid for him. Alex Albon also second last on the grid because his first lap was pretty awful, and his second lap he did get through, but it was deleted for track limits, which he was flirting with track limits about every
all
quarter.
the way around. Yeah, it was quite insane, to be honest. But yeah, they would be joined by Bortoletto, Ocon, and obviously the aforementioned Lance Stroll with a 5-place grid drop. Made no difference at all because he was the slowest in qualifying. Q2, of course. I mean, Jamie, after his brilliant effort in sprint qualifying, Hulkenberg was definitely into Q3 and ended up 11th, so that streak continues in real qualifying.
I wonder what the record is. I might go and look this up after. The highest championship position for a driver who never makes Q3.
Never made Q3.
Because I reckon he's going for that record. Because the amount of times he's been 11th is a bit ridiculous
impressive.
at this point.
Quite impressive. Lawson out, Tsunoda out, Gasly, Colapinto all out. I think again, Tsunoda got a bit quiet. You know, him and Liam Lawson kept having beef, didn't they? Because they kept holding each other up or giving each other dirty air or something. And it all seemed like quite a nothing issue. But yeah, I mean, we got into Q3. I think we were all kind of expecting, again, you know, Max versus the McLarens. Except for this time around, neither McLaren decided to show up. So Max ended up going quicker than basically everybody by an absolute landslide on the first runs. Then messed up, the Red Bull messed up his timing, so he basically accidentally did a Sebastian Vettel from 2013 Singapore.
11, that was.
2011 Singapore, where he comes in after his first run and doesn't go again.
Just watch it. That was such aura watching Q3.
Watching Q3 happen when you're already on pole is quite impressive. Leclerc would do pretty well because he'd be 5 seconds off the times at the end of his first run because he span at the final corner, but never actually exceeded track limits, so the laps still count.
Yeah,
which was quite funny.
But he got a very good run in the second attempt, didn't he? And Ferrari looked nowhere, and then suddenly they were fifth and third.
Ferrari either do really well in a sprint or really well in a Grand Prix, but not both. They're bizarre.
Well, yeah, I feel like they just got it together with the setup because the sprint setup looked absolutely awful. But the GP was a lot better for them.
No, it was. So Max would take pole. Again, it was the same front row as yesterday. Oscar Piastri, I mean, just played it safe. Ended up all the way down in P6. Not ideal. I think he's going to have to take a little bit more risk than that, especially when McLaren, if they ever look like kind of the dominant force again this season. Charles Leclerc, though, in P3, just had a Russell, Hamilton, the aforementioned Piastri, Antonelli, Sainz, Behrman, and Fernando Alonso making up our top 10. And after the drama of the sprint start, it's safe to say that the race start was a lot more calm.
Yes, and you get the feeling that people maybe played it a little bit more safe, given how much carnage there was in the sprint start.
Yeah.
But it didn't change for Max Verstappen, who still got a good start, covered off Norris, held the lead, job done. And good news for Max Verstappen was that Charles Leclerc went flying around the outside on his soft tyres on Lando Norris, took P2, and then Norris was stuck for basically the whole first stint.
Yeah.
And by the time Norris eventually got ahead of Charles Leclerc, I think Max was 10 seconds down the road. I said to my parents, who I was watching with in the Midland Hotel in Manchester, which is very fancy,
casual
that
name drop in there.
3 laps into the race, I said, well, Max should win this now, given that Leclerc's second and Norris is third, and there's already 3 seconds between them. It was like, this is Max's to lose, unless the McLaren's ridiculously fast.
Yeah. I think if Lando got past him in like the first 5 laps, it might have been game on.
Yeah.
But also, it was really odd, wasn't it? Because nobody wanted to use the hard tyre here.
Well, they did the step change. Did you hear that?
Yeah. So it was C3, C4, C3, and C2.
It was
C3,
C1,
C4, C6, wasn't it, or something ridiculous? Or is it the other way round? I can't remember.
I believe the hard was way worse, basically. So it was the C4, 3.
And 1.
Sorry,
if
2.
1 is hardest.
I forget the order. We're really messing
I'm pretty certain
up.
it was 3, 4, and 6.
Yes, but 6 is the softest, isn't it?
Is it? So it was C.
It was the other way around. Yeah.
It's 4, 3, and 1.
Yes. That's right. And we do know wheel on this podcast.
We do. We don't actually know about the Pirelli wheels, but we know wheels.
Yes. So basically, there was a step change between the medium and the hard. So the hard tyre was absolutely awful.
It was basically irrelevant.
I feel like Hadjar, Ocon, a few others maybe started on it, and then
there were a few that started on it.
They pit before Leclerc did because it was such a bad tyre. which basically meant Pirelli were hoping it would make a two-stop race. It meant everyone babied their tyres to make a one-stop work. They need to shorten pit lanes. They need to make pit lane lost time about 15 seconds. And then everyone would move towards two stops at some races.
What I don't get is how a sport that is so big on data can't work out how to make races more strategically interesting like that. It's the other one as well, isn't it? It feels like so many times this year, DRS zones are just not long enough.
No, I'm not having that. This DRS zone was perfect, I think. Down the back straight.
Again, obviously, it's always car versus car dependent, isn't it?
If it was 20 metres longer, Norris would have flown past Leclerc at the first
It could have done with being 10 metres longer, I think. Just a little bit. Just a little bit.
It also helped that the McLaren was awful in a straight line compared to the Ferrari.
It wasn't great. There would be a bit of drama, though, on lap 1, Jamie. Alex Albon tried to go down the inside. I can't remember who it was now. I think it might have been Stroll. No, it wasn't Bortoletto, because Bortoletto was the car in front of the one he was overtaking. And then, kind of got down the inside, accidentally at Bortoletto. For all I know, Bortoletto might not have even known he was there. But then Albon kind of just span himself off of Bortoletto's wheel, which was kind of, screwed himself over. Sainz would get past Ollie Behrman, and then would try to make a move on Andrea Kimi Antonelli. Antonelli, I think, kind of slammed the door more than he should have, maybe. He could have probably saved himself in that scenario.
He could have done,
but it was still Sainz's fault.
Yeah, Sainz, it's funny because he orchestrated it on Behrman just to then try it again on Antonelli, and I don't know, he wasn't anywhere near alongside enough on Antonelli to warrant. Obviously, when Behrman tries to close the door, Sainz's whole car is on his inside. Against Antonelli, he wasn't in his peripheral quite, probably. And
no.
So Antonelli just didn't, I don't think he knew he was there particularly, and he did come from all the way back. But it screwed over both of them. From P7 and 8, they were just out and spun round to last. So, didn't do either of them any good, really, did it?
No, exactly. I mean, that basically just meant we didn't really see either of them ever again, particularly.
Well, Sainz was out, that'd be why.
Well, yeah, Sainz was out, of course, wasn't he? And obviously Antonelli was basically mired towards the back markers now. Because, again, the Mercedes didn't look particularly strong this weekend. But I mean, let's be fair, Jamie. Pretty much the entire race was just watching Charles Leclerc versus Lando Norris, wasn't it? It was kind of the only thing that kept this race from being basically a complete snooze fest. Yeah,
and I think the battle was pretty fun, to be honest. It was massively helped by the fact Norris spent 52 laps discovering the inside line. Because Leclerc, he was defending, obviously, but he wasn't driving on the white line on the inside. So, Lewis Hamilton on the sprint showed how it's done, basically. And if you've even got a car's width or half a car's width, you can drive on the dirt.
Yeah. I guess, again, it's kind of that great balance, isn't it, between a driver in a quicker car that has everything to lose versus a driver that's got nothing to lose.
Yeah, but Leclerc was driving excellently, to be fair to him.
I know he was brilliant defensive masterclass, but again, I just don't think Lando's just not that great at being the attacking driver either.
Especially with a bit of pressure on him in terms of championship. But we got two battles, because the first stint, Leclerc's obviously on old softs, Norris is on better medium tyres.
Yep.
The nature of being on a soft means you pit earlier. So Norris did get past him on lap 21.
Yep.
Leclerc then pits. Norris
pretty much
pits
immediately.
12 laps later, and Leclerc's back ahead. So we got it all again. And
we did get it round two.
It almost looked like Leclerc was going to hold on, but sadly not for the championship's sake. And
what do you mean
Norris
for the championship's sake? It's got nothing to do with Leclerc.
No, but Norris getting fewer points is better for Max Verstappen, isn't it?
Yeah, but some of us don't want that.
Well, half of the podcast presenters do. So yeah, Norris, to be fair, we've been rinsing him for bad racecraft. He did still get second place, so it didn't matter in the end.
He basically got the... And to be honest, I think this weekend the Red Bull was just
too
as
fast.
Quick. Yeah, and I think it just as quick as the McLaren, and obviously Max Verstappen is a quicker driver than Lando Norris or Oscar Piastri.
Yeah,
at the end of the day,
100%.
So I mean, would be Verstappen that takes the win ahead of Norris. Charles Leclerc, another podium for him. Hamilton apparently had a puncture on the final lap, or lost a lot of pressure. So barely, he did lose 10 seconds in the last 2 laps to Piastri.
Yeah, but he wasn't crawling.
No, but he did have a loss of pressure, I believe, in that tyre. So would barely hang on ahead of Oscar. Russell in a pretty lonely P6 in the end. Sonoda ahead of Hulkenberg, Ollie Behrman, and I believe it was Alonso once again, then, that took the final points-paying position, with Sainz the only driver out. And that now means, Jamie, with 5 races and 2 sprints to go, there are 40 points in it for the World Championship.
Yes, I'm excited for the remainder of the season. Can
Max Verstappen actually do it? If you had to put money on it right now.
To be honest, I think current form, for me, it's between Norris and Verstappen, despite Piastri being the one with the lead. Like, Piastri just looked off it so badly. He got a podium at Monza, and he's not finished on a podium since then.
No.
And, that's really, really poor form.
No,
and Norris has been driving excellently since he crashed into his teammate at Canada, I think. So, yeah, I don't know. I feel like I want to say Max Verstappen, but all it takes is one race when the McLaren's just dominant, and Verstappen finishes 3rd or 4th, and it's a 1-2 for McLaren's, and that makes it an awful lot harder. But
it's gonna be like either a Vegas because it's a really peculiar track, or a Qatar because there's so many long corners.
Yeah. Well, you look at the historical performance. Mexico's a Verstappen track. Brazil is a Verstappen track.
Not last year though. It wasn't.
Abu Dhabi is as well. Like all
is
three
Abu
of those.
Dhabi a Verstappen track?
He's won the last 4 events there. I want to say. No, he didn't win last year, did he? But
no.
The 3 or 4 before that. I guess he's just everyone else has given up by the end of the season usually. But yeah, I'm excited. If Verstappen wins every Grand Prix and sprint, even if Piastri is 2nd place in every single one of those, Piastri would win by only 3 points. So that's just how good Piastri's got to be for the rest of the season. And currently, I just don't think he's there.
Well, I think the bigger question as well has got to be, isn't it, at the moment, which we can kind of look at it from, the script of, can Max take 15 points out of them in the next 4 races and 2 sprints? Is a much better question, isn't it? Because obviously, if you get to Abu Dhabi less than 25 points back, anything can happen.
Yeah, but I don't, as in if Verstappen's 20 off both of them, it's entirely unlikely.
They could take each other out.
Yeah, but they won't if it's that. If all they need is a P8, so they're not going to even risk taking each other out, are they? I guess if they're still fighting each other.
If what happens if there's a 5-point gap between them and they know the win is needed? True.
And
exactly
then I'm loving it. We haven't had a 3-way championship fight since 2012.
2010 was 4-way.
No, 2012 was 2, wasn't it? It would be 2010. My
2010
word.
was a 4-way fight. I think we've only ever had one 3-way championship decider, and that was the late mid-80s, I want to say.
No, it's 07 as well, Raikkonen against
07, yeah, of course, yeah.
But I would say 2010 counts, given Hamilton was basically out of the running in Abu Dhabi as well. Yeah. But, yeah, it's an awful long time since we had three drivers going at it, and I just beg Max Verstappen gets the 5th. I'll be so happy. It would be insane. It would put him right up there with the greatest of all time already if he comes back.
Yeah, but I think a 4-time world champion puts you in that club anyway.
Yeah, true.
But I can, even as someone that's famously not a Max Verstappen fan, if he wins this championship, it will definitely be his best, without a shadow of a doubt in my mind. Because it was all those weekends where the Red Bull hasn't been there, where he still picks up the points that could prove critical by the end of the year.
I would say he's had one bad race in Spain, and that was it.
Yeah,
the rest,
exactly.
Rating stupidly highly at the rest, basically.
Exactly. Predictions recap, Jamie?
Predictions first. I've got 3 minutes for reference before work's going to shout at me. Predictions. I was 11 points clear, and it went quite well for me.
Yeah, it did. It really
because you put Norris as a sprint winner. Didn't happen. Piastri as pole. Nowhere near.
No.
Piastri winner. No. Norris second. Yes. 2 points.
Yes. 2 points. We love it.
And Verstappen third. That's 3 points for Matt.
Yep.
I said Max sprint winner +2.
2 points.
Max pole +2.
Yeah.
Max winner +2. Russell second. Piastri third. So actually, you've done quite well to get only.
I've lost out on 3 points. Yeah.
So that puts me on 62. And you're on 48, so that's a big gap. It's going to see
I need a bit of a miracle. Yeah, I need a bit of a miracle in these final few races.
Race rating, it was mid. It was.
I'm going to give it a 6 over the course of the weekend. A 6.5, a 7, I think, because there was a bit of drama. There was a bit of intrigue.
GP was a 6.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Do
you want to do the quiz real quick?
We can do your quiz real quick. You've got. I'm going to give you 60 seconds then, Jamie.
Okay.
Obviously, we've had 19 races now this season, which, not that long ago felt like it would have been an entire campaign's worth. Do you know when the last season we had 19 races?
I want to say 2015.
Bang on, sir. You have got
lovely.
1 minute to name me every single driver that has won a race from the start of 2015 till the present day. There are 15 answers. Your time starts now.
Okay. Hamilton, Rosberg, Vettel.
Yes.
Ricardo, Verstappen.
Yes.
Bottas.
Yes.
Any more in 17? Raikkonen.
Yes.
Leclerc.
Yes.
Gasly. Ocon.
Yes.
2020. Perez.
Yes.
Russell.
Yes. You got 3 more
Norris,
to go.
Piastri.
Yes. Sorry, there were 16 answers. I left
Norris,
off
Piastri,
the list.
and
You got 2 more to go.
One more.
Two more
to go.
more. Sorry, there's 16 answers, not 15. I completely forgot Lando Norris exists.
Oh no, who am I forgetting? Carlos Sainz.
Correct. 1 more. You got 10 seconds.
Oh no. Who? No. Is it stupid?
Oh no, I've been wrong. You've got them all.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say.
I just realised I accidentally put Ricardo twice and Norris not at all.
Right. Okay. Well, I was like,
there you go.
Am I forgetting something? Did someone
you
I was
absolutely
thinking,
nailed it.
Did Liam Lawson win a race that I forgot about? I'm like, what's going on?
Sorry, you nailed that one. That was all on me.
Lovely.
What a brilliant way to end the show.
There we go.
Jamie.
So somehow you're not doing the quiz, but you got more wrong answers than me.
Yeah, I did, which is pretty good going by my standards. Have we got anything else to add?
No, I think we've done well. We'll be back for Mexico something preview.
Yeah,
later in the week.
we'll be back Mexico probably Thursday. I would imagine the podcast will go live because I think we've got to record it on Wednesday this week. Thank you all, as always, so much for listening. If you have enjoyed, please do make sure to leave a like, get yourself subscribed, drop us a follow, drop us a sub, all that good stuff. And yeah, Jamie and I will return later on this week to preview the Mexican Grand Prix.